So in today's video, let's look at how to make a daily task decision matrix. And so this is the Eisenhower matrix where you have urgent and important tasks. So we have a list of tasks here. So let's add a couple columns. So the first one, let's say, is done. So we'll check it off as completed. And then we'll do urgent. And then we could do important, or maybe we'll just do crucial for a slightly shorter word there. And so let's pull these columns in a little bit, just make them a little narrower there. And then we'll go ahead and just do a little bit of highlighting. Just like this. Just a little bit of font changes there. And then you can kind of pick whatever you want there. And you can play around with the background, font color. You want to bold the text, change the size, and change the actual font. All right, so then what we're going to do is let's just give some room. So I'm just going to drag down here, maybe 21. So let's do 20 rows. So let's just go up here. And then I'm going to do a quick border around this. So click on the border, and go to double width here and put it just around the outside. And then I'm going to put checkboxes in these. So select that, insert, and checkbox. And then I'm going to go ahead and disable table suggestions there just so we're not having that keep popping up. And then here I'm going to decrease the font size just because for me, I like it a little bit smaller. Otherwise it seems to really fill the cell and be a little hard to see and understand what's going on there. And then let's just do a little bit of quick setup here. So change that column size to 20. And then I'm going to delete the extra rows here. Drag down. Hold down shift and click on this last row, right click and delete rows. And so I'll leave us one there on the bottom. All right, so now let's go ahead and center these. And then I'm going to add a little bit of border inside. So selecting the whole thing again, go back to border, and now I'm going to change the color to maybe this light gray and make sure to change it to a single width and just inside. The reason why is I'm going to hide grid lines here in a second. And so I still want grid lines to show up inside this. But next, let's go ahead and create our matrix. So let's do something like this. And then we're going to do first. And so if it's urgent and crucial, we want it to show up in this section. And then we have schedule, which is crucial, but not urgent. And then let's give some room here. So I'm going to do this, I think. I'm going to merge these vertically. I'm going to make this a little bigger. And so let's go ahead and just do that real quick. Maybe 12, bold, center, and center. And so I'm just going to paint this format to here. And then let's go ahead and get rid of the rest of these columns just real quick. I'm just going to select a couple, delete, until we get down to here. And then let's go ahead and change these. So hold down Control to select multiple, resize 20, and then let's resize these two. So again, to select more than one column, I click on one, hold down Control, click on another one, and then right click, resize. Let's do something like 250. I think that's the width I have here. So you can determine what width you want to customize that. All right, and so we had 20 rows here, and so maybe we'll do about 8 rows in each section. So 2, 4, 6, 8, and then we'll leave a row. So starting in row 13. So let's go ahead and copy these. And then in row 13, we'll paste them, double click in here. This will be delegate or automate. Now, one thing to keep in mind as well, and I'm not a productivity expert, but a lot of these you may be able to look at automating. And so just keep in mind as you look at your different tasks, is it something you do every day? And if so, is it something you can automate? And so we'll just keep that in mind as we go through this. You may be able to save yourself some time that way. So I'm just going to go through, pick some colors here and change maybe that font to white. We'll change this one to orange. And then this one maybe to something like red. We'll change this one to white as well. And so now let's go ahead and finish some formatting here. So I'm just going to select this down to here. And this should be 8 rows. Let's see, 8 rows, yep. So I'll select that. And then let's go back to our black and double width and do this around. We'll do the same thing. And this is just the outer border. And then come down. I think this should be, yeah, 8 rows right there. So there again, and there again. Now let's go ahead and turn off our grid lines for our sheet. And then you can see I'm missing inside ones here. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So I'll change it back to this light gray, go back to single width, and then put these inside. So just the inner borders. Now you could do the horizontal as well. Just do that one, but either one works. So I'll show you that here in a second. We select these. We can also do just the horizontal inner borders because we only have one column. If we have more than one column, we want to use this just like we did over here. All right, so now we have our sections put together. So next, let's put together a quick formula to pull in these tasks based on these selections. But before we do that, let's go ahead and do a couple of these selections. And so finish today's presentation. If it needs to be done by me, then it would be crucial. And if it needs to be done today or very soon, then it'd be urgent. And so maybe this Q4 strategic plan, crucial, but maybe not today. For training videos, maybe again, crucial, but not today. And then find new vendor. Maybe it's urgent, but I don't necessarily have to be the person to do it. And same thing with new client orientations. And finally, watch more productivity YouTube vids. We'll just put that under not urgent, not crucial. All right, so let's go ahead and put this together here. So I'm just going to use a simple filter formula here and then just select this first column. I'm going to hit F4 because we're going to reuse this filter, so I don't want that to change accidentally. And then let's just go through column by column. So this one, we only want it where this is false. So F4 and then equals false. And basically this is so when it's done, it'll disappear. Now we could alternatively change it to highlight or something like that, but we'll just go with this for now. And then you can decide if you want this in there or not, and you can just leave it off if you don't. All right, so the do first would be if urgent, hit F4, if urgent is true. Also, if crucial is true. So equals true. So there we go. And there's that one. And so now we can basically just copy this function or formula and then go across the board. So when we have schedule, it means urgent. The D is false. So there we go. There's our record training videos. And then delegate is urgent but not crucial. And so this would be D is true, but this one's false. And then finally, this one is if both of these are false. Just like that. Now, one thing to keep in mind is if we get rid of all of them out of one, we have this weird NA error. And so that's just because no matches are found. So what I'm going to do real quick is just wrap these with if error, like that. And then same thing here. We could have done this from the beginning as well, but I wanted to show you how this worked. All right, so there we go. And finally, if error. All right, there we go. So let me go ahead and put these back in urgent. So you notice if you don't select anything, it immediately goes to this delete, defer, and automate. So let me go ahead and check those. And then if I click done, for example, it disappears. Now, the last thing we'll do real quick here is what if we want to do some highlighting on here? If that's done, just for a quick visual cue. So we're just going to select this data. So click and drag, and then format and conditional formatting. And then we can decide. You can do a little bit of background, maybe, and do something like this. Maybe it's strike through. And then we're going to change this format rules to custom formula is equals $C 3 equals true. Let me make sure I get that right there. So this $C is making sure that it's only going to look in column C. And it's that way you're not having other weird things happening. And then 3 is just the same as the starting row here. And then equals true. And so you do have to start with equals. That is a little funky, but you're basically saying is C3 equal to true. And then because we don't have a $sign here, it's going to go row by row and check. So we can hit done and close that out. And now whatever one we check will both disappear from here and show up highlighted green right there. All right, so that is it for today's video. Make sure to check out the other videos on our channel for more tutorials on both Google Sheets and AppScript. And as always, have a great day.